بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله، الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, dear brothers and sisters in Islam, I welcome all of you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I welcome all of you to this first international virtual camp for Muslim university students organized by the International Institute of Islamic Learning, Pakistan, with the collaboration of IIMU, International Islamic Institute for Muslim Unity, International Islamic University, Malaysia. So my name is Ashad. I'm a PhD candidate of International Islamic University, Malaysia. So let's start today's session with the recitation of some verses from Al-Quran. I would like to call upon Dr. Kari Abdullah Rahman Al-Bazi from International Islamic University, Islamabad, to recite a few verses from Al-Quran Al-Karim. Please welcome, brother.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. الصوت واضح؟ عفوا.
نعم واضح.
نعم واضح.
والله معذرة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات كانت لهم جنات الفردوس نزلا خالدين فيها لا يبغون عنها حولا. قل لو كان البحر مدادا لكلمات ربي لنفد البحر قبل أن تنفد كلمات ربي ولو جئنا بمثله مددا. قل لو كان البحر مدادا لكلمات ربي لنفد البحر قبل أن تنفد كلمات ربي ولو جئنا بمثله مددا. قل إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد. قل إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد فمن كان يرجو لقاء ربه فليعمل عملا صالحا فمن كان يرجو لقاء ربه فليعمل عملا صالحا ولا يشرك بعبادة ربه أحدا صدق الله العظيم.
MashaAllah, Barakallah, brother. Jazakumullah khairan. Uh, Alhamdulillah, we started this virtual camp yesterday. We had very fruitful and valuable sessions. For those who missed the classes, you may follow up our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can watch the videos and the sessions. Today we have a distinguished guest, Brother Haji Muhammad Adam Muhammad Saeed from Malaysia. Before I hand over the session to him, I would like to give a brief introduction about him. Brother Muhammad Adam Muhammad Saeed is the Group Chief Executive Officer as well as the Principal Consultant for Profess Consulting Group. He holds an MBA majoring in Human Resource Development from the University of Hull, United Kingdom. His area of specialization includes strategic management, change management, business process re-engineering, human resource management, organizational development, and quality customer service. Amongst Muhammad Adam's major achievements under the group includes the development of the HR management system, HRMIS, for the government of Malaysia, under the training of more than 10,000 unemployed graduates under the National Undergraduate Unemployment Program. He is a board of trustee member of the Hidayah Center Foundation, Malaysia, so well-known foundation in Malaysia. So this is an wonderful opportunity for us to listen from him. So without further delay, I would like to call upon Brother Haji Muhammad Adam Muhammad Saeed to deliver his speech under the theme of enhancing the productive life of a student, importance of planning. Please welcome, brother.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Can you hear me very well?
Yes, yes. Alhamdulillah.
Okay. Can you see me?
Yes. It's very clear.
All right. Yeah, alhamdulillah. Okay. Jazakumullah khairan for the introduction. I think half of it is undeserved or overvalued. After having said that, some of the facts has probably changed along the years. I think you might have Googled my name and got the details from there. Or maybe I have sent you the CV a few back, or so many things have changed along the way. I'm no more the CEO of Profess Consulting. I am now full-time CEO of Unknown Specialist Hospital. I retired from my company, Profess Consulting Group. So the brothers in the hospital were kind enough to invite me to be the CEO. They needed somebody to turn around the hospital, I guess. So this is where I am. I also was on board of Hidayah Center Foundation for 8 years. Yeah. And then I have my own personal corporate governance. I don't think I should be in any organization more than 7 years. But for Hidayah Center Foundation, it was more than 7 years. I took into consideration COVID of 2 years, so so I overstayed a little bit. But I believe personally that I should move on from any organization, should be them longer than 7 years, right? So I am now the sort of advisor to Hidayah Center Foundation, but I am no more the board of trustees. So just a little bit of clarification on where I am today. So on top of that, I also sit on a few other boards in the government of Malaysia's institutions, as well as dakwah institutions. Okay. Now, if you mind, I probably have a few slides to share on planning. Okay. Shall I do that?
Yes, inshallah. Yes.
Just a moment. WhatsApp. Okay. Just wonder whether you can see the slides now. Can you see the slides?
Still no.
Ustad, if you can WhatsApp to me, I will run it from here. If
It's okay. I'll get my team to try and do this first. Maybe just 1 or 2 more minutes. Screen. Share. Okay.
Okay, now okay. Yes.
Okay. Kita close kan?
Sebab dekat
Boleh close kan?
benda isteri nanti
Screen.
saya tu kalau yang tak masuk lagi tadi kan. Juga Malaysia. Saya doakan.
Okay, I will start by okay. You have done it? Yeah. Should that be okay? You cannot tukar slide.
Ke bawah. Ke atas, sorry.
Okay. Right. Okay, brother. Sorry. So okay, I'll start by, we do not have a lot of time, but I have a lot of things to share, and I also want to spare some time at the end of the day for question and answer, which usually is the more interesting part of the talk. Yeah. Okay, so I think we all know our mandate in this world, in our leadership role and our managing roles in organizations. We are leaders. Kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ulun an ra'iyatihi. We are all leaders, and we are all accountable for whom we lead. Yeah, and in terms of planning, now we always talk about vision, right? And I would like to share at least two stories, maybe three, from the history of the Prophet, where, when we talk about planning, the first thing that we have to remember is that Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam takes a lot of pain to share his vision to his followers. Yeah. So in one of the matters in Da'wah, for example, Tamil Adari reported that the Prophet said that this matter, that is this message of Islam, will certainly reach every place touched by the night and day. So you can imagine, where are the places that are touched by the night and day? Practically every corner of this world, right? So, meaning to say, the Prophet put a vision, a clear mental picture of what is going to happen, and this becomes the motivating force. Yeah, I can give another story about Suraqah bin Malik. Suraqah bin Malik, he was asked to pursue Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then when when there was no one else except him and the Prophet, and then he said, "Okay, I'm going to you are now mine." And then the horse fell into the sand, get trapped into the sand. And then he said, the Prophet, if you can get it out of the sand, then you can help me get it out of the sand, then I will spare you. Right? And then after the Prophet made dua, the horse went out of the sand, and he again pursued the Prophet. Yeah, and so basically he was treacherous and he tricked the Prophet, right? But again, the horse fell into the sand, and he was dumbfounded, And then he said, "Okay." At that time, the Prophet was accompanied by Abu Bakr. Yeah. And then he said, please get me out this time. If you really get me out, then I will, honor my words. I will not harm you, etc. So then the Prophet allowed him, make dua, and the horse was, out of the sand. And Suraqah bin Malik then said, okay, I will set you free, but I know this is the truth, and I know you're going to be a great leader. But I need redemption. If anything happens to me, please protect me, right? And then so what happened was, the Prophet was ordered Sayyidina Abu Bakr to write a pledge on a piece of bone, okay, of his promise to Suraqah, if he comes to a position where his safety is compromised when the Prophet is, one day become a leader, then that becomes a guarantee to him. So I fast forward a little bit the story, and then by the way, the Prophet said, one day you will hold the bracelet. Some people say bracelet, some people say the the ornament of Kusra bin Hormuz, Ibn Hormuz. That is, Kusra is the son of is the Persian king, right? So, so that was the vision that was given to the Prophet about where Islam will be in future. So then later on, one day, very interesting story. Suraqah bin Malik was about to die. And then, when the people around him surrounded him and said, we make prayer that you will not die. And I said, oh, don't worry, I don't think I will die yet. So, and the relatives around him, wondered why he was so confident that he will not die yet. So he said, because I have not been granted the bracelet of Persia, right? So those are the kind of things that motivate these people. So it goes on to say that the Prophet then, whatever he said, the vision that he said, became the inspiration for everybody. So the first point in planning is you need to have a vision. You need to create a vision for yourself and for the people around you, the people that you lead. And of course, we have the very very famous story about how the Prophet said that one day the Constantinople would fall under a ruler, and he will be the best of rulers, and his followers will be the best of followers. So that is the story of Muhammad al-Fatih, and that hadith became the inspiration of generations to come. Yeah. And they are planning, etc. For example, Muhammad al-Fatih, when he was still young, he was thinking of how he can be that king, the king, that the best of rulers, and the followers are the best of followers. That became the inspiration. So I think planning comes from this vision. So if I were to ask you this question, okay, fine, fair enough, for the organization there is vision, but for you yourself, yeah, as we talk, as I present, as I share my thoughts, I also want you to think about, where you are going. Okay, you have to define yourself. Of course, we know our real reason for existence on this world is illa liya'budun, except that we want to be we want to be subservient to God. Yes, but we are also Khalifa. And as Khalifa, we have a role to play, and we have a specific role in how we, Okay, we have got a role that we can contribute to this ummah. I take upon it to remind everybody here, and myself including, that khairun nas anfa'un linnas, the best of human beings are the best among those who contribute to the others. Okay, so I always ask myself, why do I exist? Yeah, I know I exist to become the Khalifa fil ard. Yeah, I exist so that I serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala illa liya'budun. Yes, but the question is how? How do I play that role? In what capacity? So I decide that for myself at least, my vision. My vision is I will contribute in the areas that I think I am comfortable with and I have expertise in. That is in leadership and management. Yeah, in corporate governance, in leadership, in management, in strategy, etc. So that's why whatever role I can do many other things. I suppose I can do many other things, but I choose to be the best in that particular area that I can contribute. Okay, so in that sense, even when I engage myself with Da'wah to non-Muslims, Hidayah Center Foundation, for example, my contribution is more on the planning side, and specifically on the strategic planning side. I know I can maybe do street da'wah. Maybe I can do da'wah, engaging one-to-one with the non-Muslims. Yeah, maybe I can, but I have defined myself that my best way of contributing in all fields, especially for in this case for da'wah to non-Muslims, by being the contributor through planning, and in the particular case, more specifically, strategic planning. So that's why when I was just sharing with you, when I was involved with Hidayah Center, one of the things that we decided in Malaysia is we need to come up with very clear what we call game-changing strategy. So the game-changing strategies that we have identified in Malaysia is, number one, da'wah to non-Muslims should not be confined to a few people who knows about that da'wah to non-Muslim. We must escalate this, or we must permeate this sense of responsibility of doing da'wah to non-Muslims to the Muslim Ummah as a whole. You see, the problem is in Malaysia, we feel that this is fardu kifayah. One group of people already has done da'wah to non-Muslims, so we can relax at home. So we don't have to think too much about this, because this is fardu kifayah. But in reality is that in Malaysia, for example, you have 60+% Muslims, but the 30+% non-Muslims, the numbers are growing very, very slowly for them to become Muslims. So I was wondering, if every masjid were to have a special lajnah or special committee of outreach, Islamic outreach, or da'wah to non-Muslim. Imagine every masjid would take upon themselves, okay, we are going to spread the message of Islam to our non-Muslim neighbors. Can you imagine 60% of the Muslims doing that to the 30+% of the non-Muslims? Then I think we will be, the Hidayah Center Foundation will not be relevant anymore, because this responsibility is taken up by the Ummah as a whole. So that's just one example of a game-changing strategy that we have adopted. So, dia tak boleh bergerak. I'm trying to change the slides. Tak boleh pakai.
Ke bawah.
Oh, what happened just now? Okay. All right. So, as a reminder, the importance of us taking care of our life and our time. Suratul Asr is one of the most favorite surah amongst us, because after Suratul Fatiha, this is probably the shortest surah you can read. But really, the gist of the surah is very powerful. By time, verily, human being is at a loss, except for those who enjoin towards righteousness, and those who enjoin with patience. Yeah. Okay. So ask ourselves, how do we contribute? How do we make sure we do not become the innal insana lafi khusr? How do we do that? The answer to it is making sure that we really make every second and every minute of our life count. Yeah. We do not have time to do things that are irrelevant. But at the same time, the lack of planning can also be in the form of loss can also be in the form of not because of lack of action, but lack of planning. Let me clarify what I mean. You know, some people they say, you know, we do so much planning, yeah, but I think we have to follow the Nike principle. You know, Nike, the shoe. What is the principle? Nike principle? Do you know? Anybody? Okay, maybe we don't have time for interaction too much, but I just share with you. It just says, just do it. Okay. The problem with just do it is this. If you just do it, do what? How much? You know, do which one is more important than the other? So the problem with just do it is without thinking much, you do something. Okay, for example, Lao Tzu says, Lao Tzu is a Chinese philosopher. He says the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. So you say, yeah, start with the first step. Don't talk too much. Don't you know, theorize too much. Just do it. Start with the first step. And then after walking for 1,000 miles, you realize that you are 2,000 miles away from your target. You know why? Because you have got to add the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step in the right direction. So planning here is setting things to be in the right direction. I remember one time you know, one imam was asked, is it okay for us to give sadaqah to the non-Muslims? And then he said, how should I answer that? The simple answer or the long answer? The simple answer is yes, you are allowed to give sadaqah to the non-Muslims. So the answer is yes. But if you ask me, should I give sadaqah to the non-Muslims when there are a lot of Muslims who are so poor that they cannot live, or they are close to, you know, at the point of being kafir because of faqr? So is it permissible for me to give help to the non-Muslims? Then maybe the answer is no. It's haram. So planning here means that not only you do things, but you do things according to a priority. Okay. So sometimes it's not a matter of halal or haram, but it's a matter of, you know, which one of the halal, which one of the haram, which one of the halal that you should prioritize, which one of the haram that you should prioritize trying to avoid. Okay. So in a nutshell, I think there are many students here. You know, you can contribute to Islam in many ways. You can contribute to, you know, I remember there was one ustaz who gave a very, very touching talk to a group of engineers. You know what he said? You know, maybe we were talking about electrical engineers here. Maybe the transmission line and the generation, the power generation, maybe that is your job, that is your door to Jannah, you know. So don't be very rigid in terms of how you can contribute to da'wah. There's 1,001 ways that we can do da'wah. So one of the reasons why I am very, very passionate of being the CEO of the An-Nur Hospital is because I think you know, I really, you know, want to embody the message in the Quran that says that if you save one life, it's as though you save, you know, humanity as a whole. If you kill one life, it's as though you annihilate humanity as a whole. So I think if I am not a doctor, but I'm a CEO, but I facilitate, you know, 100 of my doctors to help save lives, and maybe one or two of them will actually do that, then hopefully, yeah, that is a, you know, some contribution from me there. So set great goals, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Set great goals for yourself, okay, and work very hard towards it. But it's not just setting great goals. The question I always ask is, in planning, when you want to set great goals, ask yourself, what if I were to ask myself, when I don't have enough energy, I am not paid enough for the things that I do, would I still go on? Would I still plot on to do what I set up to do? Now, if the answer is no, maybe you do not have enough, we do not have enough reason for doing things. So you need to have a greater reason for doing things. Then the greater the reason, the greater the passion. For example, I have a friend, a professor, very respectable professor. Every other month, right? Every other month, he would be taking pictures with his student, PhD student. My student just completed his viva, another student from Nigeria, then another student from Iran, then another student from Kenya, then another student from all over the Islamic world. So his university based in Malaysia, yeah, of course. So I asked him, at 60 something, what actually motivates you to work so hard to do this, to pass, to examine one PhD student, as you guys would know, as the brothers and sisters here would know, it's not easy. It's not easy. Sister Laila, you're a PhD candidate, right? You would know how difficult it is, right? Because the others don't show their face and don't show their their ID. But you know how laborious it is for a professor to do that, and he can do that every few months. He can do that. So I asked him, what really make you so tenacious and so motivated to do this? So his answer was this, and I thought it was very touching. I want to be a contributor to the next renaissance of the Islamic world. I want to be the contributor to the next renaissance of the Islamic world. You can be doing it exactly the same thing, but you can be doing it because, well, that's my job as a professor. One of my KPIs is the number of students I pass, how many PhD students I supervise. And you still do what you do. But if you put your niyyah, your nawaitu, your niyat is to contribute to the next renaissance of Islam, so shall be it. And your reward that is given is based on your niyat. Okay, so that is the power of not just having a vision, but having a clear, greater reason for doing things. Why you want to do that? If a lot of people answer more of the question what and how. Okay, the technical know-how. You must know the how to achieve that. For example, if you want to get a PhD, there are so many YouTubes that you can access to that can tell you how to get your PhD in the shortest time possible. But how many materials you can get on asking the question, why do you do your PhD? Okay, the technical know why, the know why. You must know why you do it. That is probably more important than the know-how. Yeah. So I think when you have passion in whatever you do, bear in mind that being passionate is contagious. Yeah. They say that behavior breeds behavior. Okay, this is a saying. So if you are passionate about things, you work very hard, you are very jovial, you don't look tired. So this thing will be contagious, will pass on to the others. Yeah, and as a reminder to us Muslims here, that anything that is worth doing well. Yeah, Inna Allah katabal ihsan ala kulli shay'in. Verily, Allah has made it incumbent upon you that you do things in the best manner that you can. Inna Allah yuhibbu ahadakum idza amila amalan an yutqina. Verily, Allah loves anyone amongst you, that when he does something, he does that with itqan, with the best diligence and the best manner possible. In the context of hadith, Abdullah ibn Mubarak said that, when you have intention, a small thing can become big with intention, and a big thing can become small because of intention. That's what Abdullah ibn Mubarak said. This is very much in line with the hadith Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I think it's the hadith number 1 in the 40 hadith An-Nawawi. Innamal a'malu binniyat wa innamal likulli imri'in ma nawa, faman kana hijratuhu lillahi walir rasul fahijratuhu lillahi walir rasul, faman kana hijratuhu lidunya yusibuha aw imra'atin yankihuha fahijratuhu ila ma hajara ilai. So I think that hadith, I think you all are very clear with that hadith. But what the point I'm making here is that we all might be doing the same things. We might be going to the class to attend lectures. We might be, attending, doing our PhD. We might be teaching. We might be working. We might be doing exactly the same things with our friend next cubicle, or with our friend online. With our friends in the same profession, but they might be 10-fold rewarded, and we get only one of that, because like Abdullah ibn Mubarak said, a small thing can become big because of intention, and a big thing can become small because of intention. So, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, have that, technical know why. You must know why you are doing certain things. Then that, to me, that is the biggest source of planning. I can give you, a technical course on, managing planning, the structure of planning, the hierarchy of planning, strategic, tactical, operational planning, etc. But I think I'm not saying that those things are not important, but the most important thing is, it must be directional. And we take for granted this directional issue. We take for granted, we know our direction in life. But in the Quran, Allah mocks the Muslims and the non-Muslims especially. فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ? And where are you going? In the Surah Al-Ma'arij. And where are you going? So the question of direction is very important in our planning in our lives. We also must plan on the process. You see, a lot of people have got this lofty plan at the top, but the plan means nothing if you cannot operationalize it. Okay, the plan means nothing if you do not know how to go for it. So you must, we all must do, try to achieve the plan in the best manner possible. Okay, I always like the hadith on the niyat. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam always give the general principle followed by examples. Every time it's like that. We give the general principles and then we give the example. So let's look at how to contextualize what we mean by this. Now, somebody came to me. I'm also on the board of Khazanah Foundation. Khazanah Foundation gives scholarship to the top-notch students in Malaysia. The idea is to develop a group of leaders for the nation. So there are 4 or 5 of us sitting at the board. So I'm one of the board members. So sometimes, these are smart students, very, very smart students that I'm interviewing and about to give them scholarship. And questions that I ask sometimes might be really, some of them say it make them reflect, of what they are supposed to do. For example, somebody wants to do to be a data scientist. Okay, I said, okay, you want to be a data scientist, okay. Why do you want to be a data scientist? Oh, that's very fashionable. AI, artificial intelligence, and also big data analytics is trendy now. Okay, fine. So I can see that he or she sort of know where he or she is going. But the next question I ask is this: so what do you want to do? Well, I want to pursue a degree in data science. Okay. Okay. First of all, there are not many good universities offering degree in data science. At least that's not trendy now. Yeah, a degree in data science. So I said, do you want to be in the back end or the front end of data science? Okay, these are basic questions, right? Okay, I said if you want to be in the front end of data science, then probably you need to have a different route. But if your contribution to data science is more on the manipulation, how to manipulate the data, how to structure the information and the data that you get, probably being in doing computer science as your background is probably helpful towards that. But if you want to more on the statistical side of the data, maybe you can do actuarial science or statistics. That probably would be a better route for you. So the point I'm making here is, it's not just good enough for you to know where you're going, but you also need to know how you're going to get there, right? One student wanted to do medicine in Malaysia. Okay, unique in Malaysia is you need to have distinction in in a few very important subjects. Yeah, chemistry, biology, whatsoever. So this student got everything A, except that he missed on chemistry. He got a credit. He didn't get a she didn't get a distinction. So she missed getting to the doing a degree in medicine. Now the problem is, she said she said to me, I can always do my medical degree in Europe, or in even in Alexandria, in Egypt. So then I can always get my medical degree from there, even though the Malaysian universities will not allow me. But I said fine. But do you know that the Malaysian Medical Board, okay, Malaysian Medical Association, would only recognize your degree if you get A for this subjects minimum. So sometimes I realize that one or two things that you miss, okay, you will it will spoil your whole future. So my reminder to aspiring students and du'at, etc. My reminder is this. Okay, you need to know what is the end state that you want to achieve, and you need to know every step of the way how you're going to achieve, how you're going to reach there. And oftentimes we miss on the details. We miss one point, like I said, this guy, this student got almost everything else A, but the subjects that is important for her to get A or distinction, she didn't get, and because of that, she cannot pursue what she wanted to. So I hope that is one clear example of not just knowing where you're going, but knowing what needs to be done to make sure you reach where you want where you want to go. The other thing is, it is not haram for you if I were to ask you what do you want to be, and you said, well, I'm not sure yet. I'm keeping my options open. Okay. So if you have that kind of answer, some people say, how can you, man? You're not clear with your future, then you are a loser. It's not necessarily so, it's just that maybe, just maybe right now, okay, you you have sort of a general idea where you're heading, but you can only firm up as you go nearer to it. Okay, so with that in mind, I always challenge the people that I counsel or advise. If you want to do so, then you've got to make sure that whatever you choose to do, okay, what you are doing now is not repugnant or is not going to go against what you're going to do in future. Sometimes what you plan to do will be tougher for you, but at the end of the day, it will give you more flexibility. I always joke, if you don't have a lot of money, you can still enjoy food, right? You can still go to the small stall, your favorite stall, and you eat your favorite food. Okay, but if you have a lot of money, okay, you can go to the best restaurants and the most expensive restaurants. Okay, so when the more money you have, the more choices you have, right? So the same things in even in your education, for example. Okay, sometimes if you have good grades, then you have greater flexibility whatever you want to do. Like a friend of mine, he was so brilliant. He can do anything, any subject he wanted to do at that time, but he chose to do engineering. So after the first year, he decided engineering is not for him, not his cup of tea. So the next year, he said to me, Adam, brother Adam, I think I want to change course. I said, why? You are doing very well in engineering. I thought you're smart. You can do. He said, I don't know. I think I want to serve the human beings more closely. So I want to be a doctor. Then the second year, so say he went to see the counselor. The counselor said, you know what? Luckily, your grade, with this was in Australia. We were, a bunch of us were from Malaysia were sent to do our degree in Australia. Then he said, your grade is so high when you were doing matriculation that you can do anything you want. So yes, you can do medicine. So but the point I'm making here is, if he studied just good enough for him to do engineering, he would have disqualified himself to do medicine if he wanted to. So in this case, it was made possible because his grade was good enough for him to do engineering or medicine or whatever other fields that he chose to do. The other thing that another real life example, somebody wanted a student wanted to decide he wants to do engineering, and then I said, why do you want to do engineering? And he said, okay, I think engineering is one field that I can contribute to the human beings, and especially in the green, contributing to the sustainability of the world. I said, fine. That's also quite a good, a noble intention. So I get it that you want to go into renewable energy, sustainable, renewable energy. He said, yes. Okay, so for that reason, he said, I want to do mechanical engineering. I said, that makes sense. Okay, but let me put it to you this way. If you were to do chemical engineering, right? Everything or almost everything that a mechanical engineer can do, as a chemical engineer, you can do. But not all things that a chemical engineer can do that a mechanical engineer can do. Yeah, because when you talk about entropy, energy level, chemical reaction, enthalpy, etc., those are basically the domain of chemical engineering, not mechanical engineering. So my point here is, if you take chemical engineering, not only you can go into renewable energy, sustainable energy, but the areas of energy is wider for you compared to what you could achieve if you were to be a mechanical engineer. So to cut the story short, he is now a chemical engineer. I don't think he regretted that intention. Of course, he regretted the fact that while he was doing it, it was it was a tougher subject than mechanical engineering. So, but otherwise, it's okay lah. Yeah. So another plan. Not only you need to know where or how you're going to reach, but you need to also plan that you have a balance of good relationship with fellow human beings. Be grateful and be thankful to others. I always remind everybody here, we are not where we are today, okay, for totally our own success. Yeah. We are probably here today because of the help of others, because of the contribution of others, because of the system that has been set by others. Yeah. So there is a hadith saying that if if those who do not are not grateful to fellow human beings are not grateful to Allah. Yeah. So we've got to be grateful to our parents, our siblings, our husband and wife who are supportive of us, our teachers, who have been an inspiration to us, because some people, they don't plan to do this, but I suggest plan to build in being grateful, giving back to others inside our day-to-day activities. Be grateful to your parents. Might just mean asking them, how are you, please make dua for me, I have a very important exam coming up, I've got very important interview, I need your blessings. Sometimes asking them to do something for you is a sign of gratitude to them. Yeah. You have to have a respect for fellow human beings. Law of reciprocity, meaning to say, when people do good to you, you always try to do good to others. But sometimes it's also law of reciprocity applied one way. If people do good to you, you do good to others. Now the challenge is this: if people do bad to you, can you do good to the same person? That's a bigger challenge, right? So we have to ask ourselves, can we have that law of reciprocity only one way? If somebody do good to me, I will do good to him. But somebody do bad to me, I will also do good to him. Sometimes doing good to him doesn't mean that somebody do bad to you, then you give him money. No, you are only going to reward the bad behavior. But you do good to him is by making dua for him, that inshallah one day Allah gives him hidayah, for example. And another thing that in part of your planning is, please plan that every day, that before we sleep, right, we forgive others. We forgive others, because when you forgive others, what happens is that you get away all the negativity from your system. Okay. And when you forgive others, you will start owning, be in the driver's seat. Okay. Maybe I would like to give a little bit of example here. I also do some counseling to, people who are drug addicts, etc. What I found is that the drug addicts, or the people who always fail in life, one of the common traits of these people is that they always externalize the problem. They always put the blame on others for their failures. Okay, this is the nature of human being. You tend to internalize success. Why are you successful? Then the answer is, because I work very hard, because I'm smart and smarter than others, because I've been able to position myself very well. When others were enjoying themselves, I was not. So you tend to put all the success factors internally, but when people ask a businessman, why do you fail? Or because I didn't get the grant, or I didn't get the loan that was promised to me, or my partner was treacherous to me. So failures tend to have, tend to be externalized, and successes tend to be internalized. But when you forgive somebody, for example, this drug addict, right? So when he said, okay, I was a drug addict, you know why? Because number one, my friends, when I was young, I was so naive. My friends gave me drugs. Then I tried the drugs. And because of that, I'm a drug addict, right? And then number two, when I wanted to stop, I started to stop already. But I wanted to go to university whatsoever, but my parents didn't allow me to. I was so frustrated and so disappointed. I took back drugs, and now this is where I am. So the moment you forgive others, if you decide that, okay, I know I was a drug addict because my friend gave me drugs when I was naive, but I forgive him. So the moment you forgive the person, you are putting the power back to yourself. Now I have nobody else to blame. I can only blame myself. And I have forgiven him. I have forgiven everybody who has contributed to the failure in my life. So what's next? What's next is that since I cannot blame anybody else anymore, from this point onwards, the power to change is within me. So that is the power of forgiving others. So plan to have good relationship with fellow human beings by forgiving others. And then of course, plan to maintain a relationship with Allah SWT is the starting point of everything. And I always remind people that real freedom is freedom from having to fear or please fellow human beings. The moment you do lillahi ta'ala, you don't have to please people. You only please somebody, you please your mother or your father, you please your husband or your wife, only because that pleases Allah SWT. That's why. That's all. So the real freedom is freedom from having to please fellow human beings. But you do things because you do things lillahi ta'ala. Yeah. Be thankful, be grateful to Allah SWT. Seek forgiveness from Him. Yeah. Because I think you know better, if you do tawbah, if you do istighfar, then that will put you in the special lane to Allah SWT. And the last point I want to talk about planning is that you've got to pray for the best, but accept outcome with an open heart. So there are times when you do something, you plan for something, you work very hard towards it, but it seems that the wind is blowing against you all the time. Okay, so that's why you must pray for the best outcome. Yes, I know planning means we need to have more focus. Yes, but focus doesn't mean blinkered. I repeat, focus doesn't mean blinkered. Blinkered, that means you shut yourself from doing anything else except for this. I want to pursue this and this only. Yes, of course you have a plan. Yes, of course you pray for the best. You really want to achieve it. But in case you don't achieve it, and you think that the winds are going against you all the time, then you've got to ask yourself, maybe Allah SWT did not make this a takdir for you. So that's the very reason why in important matters, before we start embarking and planning to do something, okay, what do? We do salat istikharah. Okay, and in the salat istikharah, what did we ask for? Wa in kunta ta'lamu anna hadzal amr khairul li fi dini wa ma'ashi wa aqibati faqdurhu li wa yassirhu li summa barik li fihi wa in kunta ta'lamu anna hadzal amr syarrul li fi dini wa ma'ashi wa aqibati amri fa asrifu anni wa asrifni anhu waqdur lil khaira haitsu kana summa ardini bi. Okay, please look for the complete dua. So the gist is, if you know this thing is good for me, for my religion and for my life, please make the takdir to favor this for me. But if you think that this is not good for me and for my future and for my life, for my undertakings, then take this away from me and take this away from me. Keep it away from me. Yeah. And then whatever is the case, whichever way, make me be peaceful with the outcome. So I think the difference between our planning and if you were to read books on, the motivational books by the various gurus, yeah, they will talk about, focus, whatever that you can believe, you can achieve, those kind of things, but they don't accept, they do not give enough emphasis on the element of takdir. So my final reminder to all of you is, yes, we need to have our planning. Yes, we need to pursue certain things. But if you think the end, you provided you have done your istikhara, if you think that the winds are blowing so much against you, then you know that probably, it's time for you to relook at yourself and ask whether this is really ordained for you. This is really something that you should be pursuing, or this is a sign from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you should be looking for something else. Okay. And the serenity prayers, I like this because it's very Islamic to me, even though it comes from my session with the drug addicts. They say every time they come together to remind themselves to get out of addiction, they will read these serenity prayers. They say, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, to change the things, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Ya Allah, if I cannot change something, yeah, I really want it, but I cannot achieve it. Ya Allah, give me the sakina to accept it. Yeah. Now, if I think I can change it and it's worthwhile for me to do it, please give me the courage, the strength, etc., for me to achieve, to change the things that I can. But really, please give me the hikmah, the wisdom to know the difference between what I can change and what I cannot change. So with that note, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I end my session. I know it's a little bit past 6 o'clock, but I still am open for any question and answers for those who wish to address anything. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Jazakumullah khairan, Ustad. We had a very fruitful session, a valuable session. Now this is time for Q&A. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand. Or if you have any comments, also we welcome. Please raise your hand that I can invite you.
That's one.
Questions? Okay. Ustad Hassan Veli, please unmute yourself.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can. Yes, inshallah.
I am so pleased at the mannerism of your narrational talk. So it was very realistic. Alhamdulillah for that. My problem, and I think that I experience all over as a teacher, I'm a coach from an Islamic perspective, thought leader, is leadership. And I love what you are doing as far as leadership, but I think if we could, and you could share your experience, we need a World Islamic Leadership College. I tell you why it's so important that we can bring the elements of students from all over the world and work on the leadership qualities of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I've just finished a book now, The Transformational Leadership of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I need that to be now proofread in that, but from there, I teach, I call it the TM, the teachable moments. So everything that I teach my children or even adults is from the teachable moments of the Prophet ﷺ. I'll give you one quickly. You know, for my drug addicts, what I do, there's a beautiful hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where this person came, a Badu from outside Medina, and he spent some time with the Prophet ﷺ. After 6 weeks, he said, I'm going back, but I cannot learn. The deen is too much. Give me one advice. He told him, don't tell lies. Halas. Not relevant to his problem. Nobody knew that he was a drug addict and he had problems. He went back home. He was a drug addict, he was a murderer, he was a thief, and he affected women. So these four qualities are very open in the time. The first day came in, he fell for a drink, he walked towards the place to buy the drink, and a thought came to him. If the Prophet asked me now, did you drink? What would I say? I spent so much time with him. I don't think I could lie to him. So he broke the bottle, he walked home. In the afternoon, no drink, his passion got up. He thought he'd go to the lady to please himself. He got to her, he saw her, and then he realized the Prophet asked him, what did you do? Could I lie? He walked away. The point here is he was so aware and conscious of the Prophet that his life changed. What about Allah? Was ever witness, ever knowing, ever seeing? If the reality can get to our students and our leaders and our drug addicts, that you do this under the exposure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then our lives has a hope. And like you said, everybody, this blame game is what's killing us. Thank you so much what you've done. I just want to leave this memory that everything we do, we have a disclaimer. You enter a lift, there's a disclaimer. You get into an Uber, there's a disclaimer. Everything. There's a disclaimer in the Quran. I was shocked. Satan has put a disclaimer in the Quran. Surah Ibrahim, verse 22. He says, on the day when everybody's running for nafsi, they're coming to him, they say, help me. He says, don't be silly, I can't help you. I didn't give you the Quran. I had no prophet. I only was. I just mesmerized the beautiful world and follow me. I didn't physically take you, so leave me. I have nothing to do with you. That's his disclaimer. Allahu Akbar. With that reality, can we not find our own guidance now? That there is no success in what we're doing, except in Allah's way. Thank you, Professor. I appreciate what you've done.
Thank you.
Please don't call me professor. I'm not a professor, but okay, I'm honored
We are all
for
the
that.
same. I'm old.
But yeah, really, really, you know, you only have between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for you to answer. You know, you can answer in front of everybody else. You can give a lot of excuses. At the end of the day, it's between you and God. Yeah. So I think there's a time that you know, there is a hadith saying that a wrongdoing is something that bothers your heart, something that you feel itchy in your heart. That is your conscience meaning to say your conscience. So you can say anything you like, but is your conscience bothering you? So you cannot have any excuses. Of course, you need to have iman for that. Yeah, a little bit of iman is enough for you to do that. So I think on your point about the Islamic leadership, I think is well said. Many people are talking about it. Some people are already doing it. Already some books. The last one I read was one by Dr. Azman Hussein and Dr. Tariq Suwaidan, who wrote about Islamic leadership. But then again, I might not agree 100%. I'm not saying I don't agree with the hadith or no. I'm just saying it's the approach in writing. But I think generally it's a very good book, because leadership, you can talk about leadership from various angles. The leadership in terms of the leadership traits. Okay, you can talk about leadership in terms of leadership functions. So in leadership functions, I can relate you one hadith. The Prophet said that the Sahaba, there are various types of Sahaba. One is like a big pond, a big ocean. He can give his he can extend the benefit to so many people. There are some just like a small well, it's only for the family and himself, so something like that. So leadership also has got in terms of function, but leadership also can be in terms of types of leadership. If you notice, there are some who talk about the dictatorial, democratic leaders, but there are also some that they are based on traits. If you notice that the Prophet's traits are humility, etc. There are some also who discusses leadership in terms of what you do as a leader. You do planning, you do organizing, you engage with your stakeholders. If you are a community leader, you engage with the important community leader, and which the Prophet did, right? For example, he would constantly engage with the leaders of the community, even though they are non-Muslims. So there are some people who argue that the Prophet's general method of leadership is democratic. Wa amruhum shura bainahum, wa shawirhum fil amr wa idza azamta fatawakkal 'ala Allah. We all know all these ayat. So that is the general leadership style of the Prophet. But the specific style, for example, when he was he was going to war, if I'm not mistaken, it was Uhud. They have already decided on certain decisions, and then they said, okay, let's go out and meet the enemies outside of Medina. And then there are others who argued against it. And then finally, the overzealous people who want to fight outside, they had their field day. At the end of the day, when the decision was made, the people who really were very, very aggressive in bringing their viewpoints felt a little bit remorseful. And then they met the Prophet and said, if you have any second thoughts, maybe we shouldn't be going out. We should be defending from the inside. So the Prophet at the time, he was about to go to the war already. And he said, it is not incumbent upon a leader, a prophet already in his army, in his, war suit, okay, to retract on his decisions, So when he's wearing that role as a commander of war, then he uses a different style of leadership. So this kind of discussions are long discussions, but yes, that's a very interesting topic to discuss. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay, we can go for another question. Brother, I can see your number, your name, Galaxy Note 8. Brother, unmute yourself. Please mention your name.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Salam.
My name is Ismail Musa. I'm from Africa and Malawi. I am a student from Dar Mustafa in Yemen. And I've been there, and then I come back to the country because of my life situation. My question is about the dawah. According to the dawah, like a Muslim woman, to get married to a non-Muslim man, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them a gift of a child, as you know. And my question is, it is fine, or it is fair to use the son to use his father's name while he is not a Muslim? No problem.
I can hear the echo, so I cannot hear your question very well. Sorry. Can somebody?
There is a background sound. Your question properly.
What?
Right.
Okay, we can go for the
question, right? Yeah. Is the question? Is it fair for the men who can marry non-Muslim woman, but the woman cannot? A Muslim woman cannot marry non-Muslim men. Is that the question?
Is it the question, brother? Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
Well, I think the question is not for me to answer. I think when there is a matter that has already been decided by Allah and Rasul, then that's it. To me, that's it. The question here is whether there is hikmah in it. I think there is a lot of hikmah in it. You will find that under most circumstances, it is easier for a woman who is non-Muslim, who follows the husband, to follow the religion of the husband, and not the other way around. And I've seen this with my own eyes. There are many non-Muslims that I see. Muslim women that I see marrying a non-Muslim men. They will remain to be non-Muslim. So unfortunately, but I think in terms of ratio, people who married non-Muslim women, I think is by nature their heart is softer whatsoever. They can accept the leadership of the husband, and they can follow easier the religion of the husband. Allahu Alam. But that's we can only talk about the hikmah, right? But actually the hukum is already settled. It's not for us to decide or to discuss. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, brother. And we are running out of time, so we can have a last final question from Brother Ramadan. Brother Ramadan?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
My issue about the goal, you explained and said that when you find that things are not working out from your deep inside, then of course that's the wrong istikhara. So I wanted to bring out another issue where you have set a very big goal and where you cannot actually back down. But whenever you go wrong or you fail, and you go on to what the mistakes where you went wrong, and so that you can make it better. There are short goals and big goals. So if a big goal, someone can easily also do it thinking that it has failed. But where is the need to evaluate himself, see where he has gone wrong, and to mend. Yeah. So like a separation between the goals that can be smaller that we can actually change, and the big goal that we cannot change, but modify the methods that help us reach to that goal.
Mashallah.
That's what I wanted to say.
Mashallah. Thank you very much for asking that question, because it gives me an opportunity to clarify. When I say this, we're talking about these goals that is something that we can change. I'm talking about goals that are, that are mubah in nature, that is general in nature. You don't do istikhara and say, Ya Allah, should I do da'wah to the non-Muslims or not? You don't do istikhara on that. It's a given fact. You have to do it, right? You don't do istikhara, oh, Ya Allah. And then when you do da'wah to the non-Muslims, everybody go against you and say, yeah, the signs are very clear. I shouldn't be doing da'wah. That's not the point. But there is areas of mubah. That means I can become an engineer. I can become an accountant. So I choose to be an engineer. But all the winds are going against me all the time. God is sending me signal in that way. Oh, I want to marry this sister. I thought this sister is good, but it's so difficult to when everything is against it, so it's very clear that that it's a signal, for me to at least relook at my decision, right? So in that context, so it's not that we for example, there's no question about us having to be istiqamah in the jama'ah. Okay, and then alaikum bil jama'ah. You're part of the jama'ah. Okay. Yadullahi ma'al jama'ah. The helping hand of God is in the jama'ah. Okay. It's very important for us to be in jama'ah. No question whatsoever about that, right? But when you have when you want to do amal jama'i, you go to a particular organization, you find so much restriction, you find so much dissatisfaction. You can always go to another jama'ah that you are more at peace, or you are closer to your heart and closer to your contributing to Islam, if you know what I mean. Maybe this is Allah's way of opening that door for you to be, to contribute your effort towards jama'ah. Okay, so that's one example. So it doesn't mean, so istikhara is not for the things that is wajib or fard. For you, there's no istikhara that you have to do. Okay.
Okay.
No.
Okay, thank you so much, Haji Muhammad Adam Saeed, for your wonderful explanation and presentation. May Allah bless you. May Allah accept your sincerity and the efforts. So we have reached the end of the session. For the next session, I think we have only less than 5 minutes. So I would like to hand over the session to